Welcome to the Catch the Juice podcast. Today's guest, C25 founder and owner, Charles Galiano. What's up, Charles? How you doing today, man?
What's going on, Jack? I appreciate you having me on, man. Excited to talk some baseball with you.
Awesome, man. So, biggest thing that we want to talk about today, C25 baseballs. And for people who don't know what these are machine designed baseballs that can come out of pitching machines that allow catchers to get top flight training. So first thing I wanted to ask you about is kind of what gave you the idea to be able to put weighted balls, overload and underload into a pitching machine?
So basically one day I was working and the cage next to me, the pitching guys were doing their stuff and were throwing weighted balls around, and I was just giving a normal lesson, out of a machine, one of my high school guys, and just kind of light bulb went on, and it was right before COVID had happened. And I just kind of grabbed the ball. I was like, and I had an overload ball, and I told my catcher, I said, "Get back there. Let me see this." And I shot it through. He caught it, and I believe it was a 6 ounce. And I was like, "Did you feel anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, felt a little heavier." And then I just started building on it, grabbing, all the balls in the set and just testing it out. And next thing you knew, this kid's whole lesson, he was a test dummy the whole rest of the way, but it ended up being awesome. The feedback was, really cool. We learned a lot, but I did found the particular balls that we're using, which is pretty much every other weighted baseball on the market. It's not real full grain leather. It's either split leather, so it's a very cheap leather that breaks down, almost looks like cardboard after you use it for a while, or they're just full out, PVC or plastic. So that, I saw a need, I saw something that wasn't there. So, I got creative, got in touch with the manufacturer, had them started, making these weighted baseballs in real full grain leather that can be used, through a pitching machine, have low seam as well, which really helps the accuracy. High seam balls out of a pitching machine are not very good. So make sure, all the seams stay loaded and everything. And the whole thing was a hit, man. It was definitely a cool thing. It was a light bulb that I had a hard time wrapping my head around that nobody had capitalized on this before or seen this niche, needed to be filled. But it was definitely cool. Once the light bulb had came on, in my mind just ran for, pretty much throughout the whole entire quarantine for 3 and 4 months, just how to continue to, develop this idea and coming up with all the training uses and trying to, just experiment and things like that. So it's been a cool ride, man. It's been, about 4 or 5 months since we opened up shop, and it's been great since.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I know I was one, you and I have gone back, back and forth, we were our own little catching Twitter and stuff, we've been following each other and going back and forth for a while. And, it's fun when you get to know somebody like I've known you, and you realize when somebody's like really excited about something, and there's stuff where like we get excited about, but then there's stuff that we really get excited about. And I remember you started kind of like putting stuff, you started telling me a little bit about it. And you could just tell there was a lot of excitement behind it. And,
Sure.
And it's funny, like in quarantine, especially, like, I think it just gave a lot of grinders out there a chance to slow down and to maybe do stuff that, a lot of our girlfriends or wives have probably been telling us to do, like plan stuff out, and to start thinking about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to teach. And when you told me about the idea, I was just like, man, this is great, and especially right now too, with so many kids on the pitching side using, these balls, as a high school coach, you're like, okay, well, I don't want my kids buying stuff, but at the same time, I don't want to buy stuff that's just for, this like one application.
Right.
And now, being able to have these and then being able to just kind of put balls in to the machine, with the underload and the overload. And for the people out there that don't know what we're talking about, so basically the set of the C25, there's a 3 ounce ball, there's a 4 ounce ball, obviously 5 ounce balls, okay, are your regular weighted baseball. And then you have 6 ounce, 7 ounce, all right, and then the big boy, all right, the fat boy, the 8 ounce, okay. And so basically that's what comes in your set of those balls, and there's different uses and applications for it. And so so I started getting to work on it right away. I started playing around with it. I was doing heavy, then I was like doing under, and it was funny because when I first got it, I was like, okay, wrist weights, heavy, sink. And then I started playing around with the underload. and the 3 ounce and the 4 ounce. And it was funny because I called you and I was super excited because I had all these things, and you were like, dude, underload. And so I kind of
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to talk about underload today,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
people could really understand the benefits, and especially at the youth level, 9, 10, 11, 12. A lot of parents are always like, what can I do at home to get better? And I really think C25 and having a machine that can shoot out and doesn't have to be crazy velocity, but just something. I really think this can help you take your catching training home with somebody who's not an expert, a parent, a grandparent, a sibling who can just shoot balls.
For sure.
So let's talk a little bit about the underload balls.
Sure. Yeah, man. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
So like, the 3 ounce and 4 ounce. Okay. So as far as a receiving standpoint, what do you like the most when training with the underload balls?
The biggest thing that I love about the underload is obviously the high speed velocity training with the low risk of injury. Right. So you look at the application across the board, whether it's for a 10-year-old or a big league guy, it's really the same feedback, and which is nice in the sense of whether I'm taking a guy that's never caught, or maybe he's been a catcher and never caught off a pitching machine before. It's a way to very safely acclimate these guys, and once you grow and train these guys to get used to this type of machine training, you crank up the velo with your 3 ounce, and then you keep that same velo and you mix in a 4 ounce. Anybody doesn't even know it, and then you mix in the 5. And next thing you know, you got a 10-year-old catching 75, 80 miles an hour out of something he has no business catching, that you just
Right.
safely kind of acclimated and eased him into. And then but you're also seeing these extremely valuable uses where I'm talking to these major league catching coordinators who have these, they're afraid to hurt these catchers. Let's say catcher X in the big leagues is worth $100 million, and he's not good at catching a left-handed slider over his left knee at 87 miles an hour. So now how do we recreate that without hurting this guy? Yeah, you can take a 5 ounce ball out of a big league hack attack and put it at 87 mile an hour lefty slide over his left knee, but that guy might walk out of the cage with a broken thumb,
Right.
and you're now responsible for that as a catching coordinator. So it's a very scary thing. So now they're able to take these very high end valuable catchers and work on these things in extreme measures, and you don't have that that risk of injury. So that was that's some of my favorite uses, the pocket awareness aspect as well.
Right.
So whenever you're catching these underload balls, like if you're catching in your palm or the heel of your hand or whatever, the ball's probably going to pop out. The underloads, you got to have really, really good pocket awareness and stay within those 3 fingers in your glove in order for that ball to stay in your glove. So the pocket awareness factor is definitely an awesome use as well.
No, I agree. And from the highest level to the youngest level, I think a lot of times that coaches are nervous to work with their 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old catchers is same fear, injury. A lot of
Yeah. Yep.
teams will tell you, well, if this guy's not behind the plate, we're not the same team. We're not we're not as good as we normally are. So a lot of times those guys, they kind of, they don't hide them from working hard, but they also don't put them in positions where they could get hurt. Right.
For
So,
sure.
and especially at the youth ages. And the other thing, both of us being, catching instructors, one thing that I've always tried as hard as I could was to make sure that everything we do be game ready, even though there's times where we work with kids that are not ready for that kind of velocity, that speed. Hence why we do bare hand drills and cone drills and and the
Right.
frisbees and we and a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just get them back there and going? Well, we're trying to build up the correct foundation so that when they get back there, they're good. What I love is now this is just a way to have a progression where you can start building that confidence,
For
because
sure.
most young kids, and from what I've seen, is the biggest issue that they run into is the fact that they reach right and they actually take away their own time, right? Because they're playing first base back there. They're a little scared, a little nervous.
Yeah, they're anxious a lot. They
They're
have anxiety. They're very anxious. Yes.
right because from the lack of confidence, and all of a sudden they start catching these balls, and and it does 2 things. One, they see velocity, so they get over that natural like little
Yep.
tension. But 2, they don't get rewarded by going out and catching it because, like you said, this is also building up pocket awareness. And so for me, like I've just seen so many guys get quiet so fast because they don't like dropping the ball, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
It's not a
and
good feeling dropping the
no,
ball.
it's not. It's not. And it's funny because you get these kids that are like, I got a new glove. I mean, I had a kid the other day. He's like, I got this new glove. I was like, oh man, awesome. He gets in there, we're doing underload balls, and it's clank, clank, clank. Oh, let me get my other glove.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Clank, clank,
Clang,
clank. And he
clang,
goes,
clang.
and I go, well, dude, at some point you got to find your pocket. Like, we're gonna find it.
Yeah.
Don't worry. But that's why
Yeah.
those balls are clanking. It has nothing to do with your ability or talent.
Sure.
It has everything to do with how you're trying to go to the ball. So no,
Completely.
I really do. And obviously you and I both talked about, you mentioned it with the slider and stuff, but man, watching some of those underload balls come out of the machine and these guys working on catching high end breaking balls, with the high school,
Yeah.
and it's just, for me, like that right there is so key. The thing that we've been using a lot is that 2-2 pitch. Are we going 3-2? Or are we sending the guy back to the dugout? And
Right.
with those C25 balls, those balls take off, and you're expecting this much movement, and then all of a sudden it's this much, right? But still getting outside the ball. So it allows those guys to see that, where they kind of fall asleep,
Sure.
and then all of a sudden, boom, they have to get out and round it. So no, I mean,
Absolutely.
I really, really, really enjoy, the underload balls, for sure. So yeah, no, but and then the biggest reason why I fell in love with the underload balls, and again, like, we were just laughing about it, was blocking.
Blocking is it, you asked me that first question, how I originally thought, about this idea, and what are my first thoughts, right? So like whenever I guess anybody invents, anything, they see something, a need for something, and they feel the need for it. So I remember I was in spring training, and we were blocking, and it was the same, very, 87 on something ridiculous out of a hack attack that we had to got to the point the minor league guys had to put guards on, the big league guys didn't. But I was a minor league guy at the time, so I had to put a towel underneath my chest protector. I had to put these wrist guards on, because 87 mile an hour slider out of a hack attack's no joke. A 5-ounce ball, it will hurt you if you don't take it the right way. So, and I remember just getting like, I mean, listen, when you caught it up your chest protector and towel underneath, it wasn't bad, but I just remember like, what, like, there's got to be a better way. Like, this is just, like, I'm in a big league camp here, and I'm putting a towel underneath my chest. This got to be, there's got to be a better way.
Right.
And that was one of the first thoughts I had with underload. That was actually what made me, my initial thought as far as going with the underload wasn't actually like soft hands, velocity training, wasn't there. It was actually for blocking. It was so that people can block over pitching machine without getting hurt, and with real velocities, when you're talking 87 mile an hour slider. So that was actually, to answer your first question, that was one of the things that put me over the edge and was like, damn, I could see if Charlie Green, my catching coordinator, had these in that tunnel in spring training. I don't think he's ever training with a 5-ounce ball. I just don't. Right. Like, I just don't. I don't see it. Like, there's too much variability. There's too much, benefits or all that stuff. So, but yeah, the blocking, definitely a really cool benefit. And it helps, like you said, like as a spectrum of help the older guys. Say a big league guy, it'll help that 10, 12-year-old that doesn't trust his gear necessarily just yet and flinches a lot. And maybe if the kid flinches for the first time, if the kid flinches and brings his chin up and he takes it in the throat with a 5-ounce ball. I had it happen. It happens to every catching trainer. Guys, I feel like every once in a while you got kids that don't tuck their chin. It hits him and the kid freak out. I got in a panic attack, thought he couldn't breathe. Like, but that was a 5-ounce ball, right? So like, 3-ounce ball, those things. I've seen 3-ounce balls, hit kids straight in their throat, straight in their arms, on the bone, everything, and just like, there's nothing. It's just almost feels like a wiffle ball. So definitely, really cool in that aspect to see like anything where you're preventing injury. I think that's a really, really important thing, because that at the end of the day, especially at the younger ages, is going to deter kids from the position.
Correct.
If kids are afraid to get hurt, and it gets to a point where it's like, it's just too much for the kid, or too much too quick. Even it could be, you could have a tough kid, but you could just get him out of position by just, one bad play or whatever the case is. But definitely anything that's minimizing the risk of injury and able to push these guys is a plus. So,
dude, that's spot on. And I mean, I think the biggest thing that the catching position struggles with at a young age is the practice toughness. You know, you're a catcher, you got to be tough. And I'm not saying that you don't have to be tough to be a catcher. Like, I always get in trouble with people like, oh, you're saying catchers don't. No. You do. But let's not work on being tough. Like, let's assume that you're tough. And if you're not tough, hey, we're gonna figure it out. Don't worry. All right, we'll find out if you're not tough. Okay, we'll figure it out.
Assume tough until you're not.
It'll happen.
Just by slapping on the gear, I'm assuming you're tough.
Correct. It's like, so let's just not beat you into a pulp. You know, where kids come in and they go, we're blocking today. Oh, I don't have my Evo Shield guards, and I don't have this, I don't have that. And for me, I'm always like, okay, my goal is for you to just wear that for swag. You know, like, my goal is, okay, I'm in right? Like, you shouldn't need that. Now, the fear of getting hit, hey, that's going to require different levels of confidence and comfort for every kid.
Yeah.
You know, where especially, you know, a kid that is a really, really good athlete, you know, a kid that maybe, you know, a guy like you or me are trying to like talk into not playing center field or shortstop, be like, hey, no.
Right.
Let's try behind the plate, you know, and all of a sudden he wears one and he goes, no, I'm not feeling that. Like, I'd rather sit shortstop or what have you. But from a blocking standpoint, you know, you do the drills, right, where it's dry blocking, and then you do it from like 5 feet away, right, where they get the feel, and then maybe you do tennis racket from further back, and then all of a sudden it goes right to fungo, or then it goes to machine.
Yeah.
These balls are allowing us to make it game like. And the other thing that I like about the especially the 3-ounce balls is I can go 50-50 balls, where I shoot it at the bottom, and I tell my guys, like, look, a lot of these are going to be in the air, and you know, every once in a while it's gonna spike. You know, so it's game like now. Now we're like, all right, hey, look, like, I need you to receive, and the biggest fear, I think, for me as an instructor when I was using machines before was, man, I just don't want this kid to get hurt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to put balls. I didn't want to put balls right there at the back end of the plate. I didn't want to put balls that, you know, because I was like, you know, at the end of the day, like, we want to work on stuff, and I want to provide feedback, you know, and then maybe we try to catch more bullpen so that, you know, that was natural or whatever. It wasn't me kind of setting him up, you know, to be in a position where he hurt.
For sure.
You know, but that's, I mean, like I said, like, these things are just, and like you said, like, with everything that's going on in baseball and the baseball world, you know, you would think somebody would come up with these, and you know, the fact that, you know, you were able to, and just provide something that is really needed. And I think that's why, like, you know, especially like a guy like me and, you know, other guys, you know, out there. I mean, I've seen some of the other affiliate programs. I mean, they're no joke catching schools all over the country that are joining in. Now I know last time I checked, I think it was 4 MLB teams.
4, yes. 4. We got a bunch coming. Once those budgets on freeze in January 1, a lot more coming. But
right. So you already got 4 signed up. Obviously the Brewers, and then you know, I know the Mariners and Twins and Rockies.
Yep, Twins and Rockies, correct.
Yep. Yeah, I did my homework. But no, and I think, you know, and I think the college game is definitely going to start picking up soon. I know you and I have talked to a couple programs, but, you know, I think
for sure
the biggest thing, and the reason why I wanted to get you on, because I want people to kind of hear about this other than when they show up and, you know, with me and working on, you know, lessons, is so many people have asked, you know, what can I do at home? What can I do at home? And, you know, we always want to just be like, well, have them catch bullpens, right? Or have them do this. This is finally something that they can do at home, where they can set up a progression.
Right. The balls train them. It's almost like you could have your mom or your dad there, and like, you don't even need a catching trainer, which is super cool.
Correct. Sure. And it's something where, let's say you do have a catching coach, and you go home and you take film of yourself receiving 3, 4, 5 regular, 6, 7, 8. And all of a sudden now a coach can watch what you're doing at home and tell you something to work on, you know, because at the end of the day, right? Like, all of us as instructors, we don't want you just getting better when you're with us, because that's a waste of time, right? We want to teach you how to get.
You got to work during the week, man. Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I really do believe that these balls allow you to do that allow you to get better without having to have somebody there critiquing every little step.
For sure.
But yeah, no, man, I'm super excited for you. I'm super excited for C25.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
It's going to be, like I said, a lot of people, we're within the first year, but I think it's going to be one of those things, 2-3 years from now, catchers, it's going to be kind of a staple in the catching training, packet, just like how the training mitts were a couple of years ago. And, and now, so I, like I said, I think it's great. Like I said, for coaches, especially coaches that are in high school, college, high-end showcase organizations, facilities, these balls allow you to get high-end training for your catchers without you really having to put any mental power in. It allows you to do the drill work. I know you have a couple drills on your website even, so that for
very simplistic ones.
Right.
We're looking to get some more cooler ones, updated ones, I should say.
but still though, even in the beginning, when people are starting, like there's a baseline so that exactly what to do with these, right out the gate.
Right.
So like the website is C25 Training Products. Yep. C25 Training Products.com. They do specials from time to time. So I would highly recommend anybody who is looking to get work in at home, schools that are looking to, up their catching, and even on the hitting standpoint, you can use them to track and watch pitches that, as a catcher, we track and watch a lot of pitchers when we receive. But even from a hitting standpoint, seeing what's a ball, what's a strike, especially with the underload balls, really like that. We've done that a couple of times where we've been working receiving off the machine with a hitter in the box, and so the hitter's looking at is it a strike, and we're also working on trying to steal pitches at the same time. So tons of applications for it. But yeah, man, no, I really appreciate you coming on Thanksgiving week.
Of course.
I know you guys are super busy, the Black Friday sales and everything like that, man.
Black Friday sales going.
That's awesome, brother. Well, hey man, I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, for everyone out there.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So like I said, for everyone out there, it's C25trainingproducts.com. You can follow them on Instagram, Twitter, and are you guys also on? And then are you guys also on Facebook?
Yep, we got Facebook.
And on Facebook page as well. Thank you again, Charles Galiano of also 7 Tool Catching. So if you want to check him out on a training standpoint, he also runs that as well. So thanks for coming, brother.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate you having me on, man. Good time talking baseball with you.
Always, brother.
All right, man.
All right. Again, thank you everybody for coming in and joining us on the Catchers U podcast.